A man without a plan for the day is lost before he starts. A man with no plan for his future returns to his past. A man who does not plan long ahead will find trouble at his door. However, everyone has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. Given the nature of the restaurant industry, it is inevitable that you will get punched in the face from the dinner rushes to the late night closes. This line of business will chew you up and spit you out, especially when you have no plan or when you get complacent. Thank you for tuning into this week's episode of Beyond the Pizza podcast. How does one plan success in the restaurant industry? With business in general, can you really roadmap your business to success? In this episode, we discuss the importance of a business plan as it applies to our journey here at Chicho's. Enjoy. Welcome back. We're on episode 3. Can't believe it already. The topic today is the importance of a business plan. But they giggle, so yeah, it'll be a good one today. We had a lot of fun yesterday. But before we really get into it, we'll start with our first segment of recapping what our thoughts were from last episode, and then what's been on our mind, and then we'll just keep diving into it. So,
I mean, I can't even remember. You asked us for these summaries. I actually don't remember what we talked about last week.
I could refresh you guys because I got a good memory. So we talked about brand identity last meeting in episode 2. Very good episode. It's going to be hard to follow up on that one because that one was just really fun and flowy. That's the best way to describe it.
So our brand's changed.
Yeah.
I was still drawing a blank even when you just said that.
Yeah. So, like, I mean, you just got to watch the whole episode if you want to get more context. But basically what we talked about last episode was what is Chicho's, that big question of who we are, the people. And I think the best way to describe it, I talked to my dad one of these nights, maybe it was last night or 2 nights ago, and I described the people at Chicho's like jolly pirates. I think that's the best way. It's very good people, very jolly people, rugged, because it requires grit to have or to be in the restaurant industry. And like each location is like their own crew, like each ship, and you guys are kind of like the head of the armada, the king of the pirates, the kings of the pirates. So I don't know if you like that title. Yeah. You don't like it?
No.
But I mean, that's just from my perspective, just from an outsider looking in, observer. Because I don't know, kids dream of being pirates. It's not everyone's dream to be a pirate, of course, but sometimes people are also led to that life, and make the best out of it. And I think that's kind of how I see it in a like a, I guess, a child's perspective.
Okay.
I don't know if that makes sense. You like that?
If it makes sense to you, that's okay.
Yeah, if it makes exactly. I mean, it's your opinion, your perspective. I mean, you're entitled to it, but
I mean, if you think like the average Chicho's team member, they're pretty cool people. Like they have strong identities, and I think I prefer that over like a clean, like, I don't know, not clean. I don't think clean's the best word, but like uniformed, like corporate. It's like the opposite of corporate.
Okay.
And I know you guys aren't the biggest fan.
Flip her lid when you say that.
Or corporate as in like 9 to 5 traditional.
Okay. Office jobs.
Gotcha. Yeah, because right now corporate I guess to kids nowadays is that office.
Yeah. Well, I mean, hospitality business, you got to be a little bit different. You're dealing with every type of person that's out there.
Yeah.
Some are easy, some are off the deep end, and others are just kind of in the middle. So you got to be prepared for it all. You can't be a pushover in that business because you're getting eaten up.
Yeah, you don't want people taking your treasure. I mean, pirates love their treasure. So I mean, I think this will be a fun running joke. I think throughout, but it matches the beachy theme we got going in the lifeguard history. Because I just remember like when marketing came to us with one of the Chicho's mascots they came up with, and I wasn't the biggest fan of it because it was like an old dude smoking. I don't know if you remember that.
The old one that they just redid.
they redid the Chicho's mascot.
Yeah,
and
it's a tough one to redo. I mean,
Yeah.
I think that was a different time frame, but people recognize it. And I'm curious because I think we're trying to do those characters, right? Curious what comes of it.
yeah,
I don't really know if there is a character anymore, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I think they outsourced it to someone else to give us some examples of reanimating the character.
yeah. I mean, in the group chat, we just saw, or I saw like was it the flyer with the old Chicho's, like, I think I could pull it up if you didn't see it. It had like the girl, like, it's an old, maybe I'll show it.
There's one where a guy, a girl, and then the dog, they all make those appearances through the years. But
Yeah.
we kind of left them alone.
Yeah, those were the classic references from the 1980s that the founder, the original founder, had portrayed the brand as.
Yeah.
Since it was established down at the oceanfront and being more of a beach bar. So
Back to your question, a summary from the last time. Now that I remember it, you gotta get talking before I remember what we talked about. I think I just learned a lot about.
Oh, what is that?
I don't know.
Is that your phone?
Mine's on mute. So
Yeah.
I think I learned about what the brand kind of was starting, or how it transitioned, what it's been, where it's going. Maybe not where it's going, but where it's been and where it is now. I kind of learned a lot about it just talking it through.
Yeah.
yeah, there's a lot of history there.
Yeah.
I mean, 57 plus years.
1968.
And the transitions and the stuff that it's gone through. I mean,
We're really taking a deep dive into history, I think.
Well, because when you're living it, you don't. I mean, it's just like raising your kids. I mean, it doesn't really for a lot of people. But you look at them one day and you're like, holy shit, you guys are grown ups almost.
Yeah.
That's a good segue into what we got here. I'll show the camera. It's an old picture of a golf
that?
tournament. I thought this one might be fun. I think I see some people.
No, this is us in Myrtle.
Oh, Myrtle?
yeah, we
Beach?
did a golf trip.
That's just
Oh,
us
just-
in Myrtle.
And then this is just an old one of Crazy Charlie's 6th annual golf tournament.
That's definitely an old one.
Oh, wow. This is old.
Yeah, I see Uncle Rodney in there. I think I see you in the back,
This is
Ed.
Hell's Point.
No,
that one
this
was in Myrtle Beach.
Yeah.
this is Honeybee.
Honeybee, that's what I meant.
What
I remember
years
that.
were these? I can't tell the difference of what year that was.
6th annual golf tournament. So this was in the 90s.
That was like the last Crazy Charlie's one.
Yeah. This was done because we used to do a 2-man golf tournament.
Oh wow.
I remember being at that though.
Jeez.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Where does that take you, these pictures?
I got a personal story, so I'm not getting into that one.
Oh,
but I
okay.
remember that day.
that
Remember that
intrigues
day
me.
to a T.
Jeez.
I'll say it. I don't care.
Which day
I remember
was
that day. It was before me and my kid's mom were together, even dating. I called her that day.
Oh no way. That's
Swear to
crazy.
God, I remember.
That is crazy. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
I don't know why it sticks out. I just remember being at a golf tournament.
You kind of remember the emotions you feel.
I was probably drinking a little bit. Get a little brave.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. What about you, Dad? What were you feeling that day?
be honest, I was organizing it, so a lot of the stuff was probably just living in the moment.
Yeah.
I have a terrible memory on
But yeah,
what
that's
happens.
the point. I mean, that's what I just said. These years have gone by and so much history, but when you're living it, you don't recognize it.
it's a
You're
blur.
just going day to day
Yeah.
until all of a sudden you look back. You're like, "Whoa, okay,
Yeah.
it's been a little bit of time here."
Yeah. I feel like we've been really going down that train ride of just nostalgia. I mean, just at home, me and my dad too, just talking, because this I guess whole project has just gotten us excited.
Yeah.
With I guess this year. I mean, so much has happened already, and it's only been the second week of January, or the second week of the year, and I think the energy's kind of shifting. I don't know.
It's typically the longest month of the year for me.
Yeah.
In January, it's like we're still in January.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah. I can't believe. Yeah, it feels like a whole month has already passed, but it felt like a blink. It's such a paradox, but yeah, that was a good intro of into this episode. But we'll get into the meats of what we'll be talking about today. So, who wants to take a crack at the importance of a business plan
I want
first?
to go first because I want to ask him a question. Have you ever written a business plan in your life?
I actually only had to write a business plan
To get a loan.
to get a loan.
And I think I gave you a copy
That's
of
so
something
funny.
I used before when I had to write them. I said, here's like this outline.
Yeah.
I just copied and translated into our own stuff.
And so, I mean, I wrote one most recently when we did the town center location, but prior to that, I think I might have wrote one other one when we opened up the Norfolk location.
Yeah.
But I can't remember if we actually did one, but
I've done them a couple times.
Yeah.
I know that. I looked for it and I can't find them.
Yeah.
But I did what I think anybody else, well, I don't know if anybody else, it's what I've always done. I just found something online and modified it as usual.
Yeah.
Yeah. The power
I mean,
of
it's
the
easy
internet.
nowadays to do it. And I think that's what I did. I found a template. The ones that I had on my computer were really outdated. But I think there's, business plans are meant for people that don't have the experience into whatever business they're going into. And yes, I think there's a need for them, but in our case, because we started from the bottom and kind of worked through the trenches to get where we're at today, we never really had a need or desire to do one because we thought it was a waste of time. Unless, again, we were self-funded. So we were like, well, why are we going to write a plan with stuff that we already know?
Mm-hmm.
And the only time we were required to get a plan is when we were using outside money.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So if that makes sense.
It does.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're doing it, when you came up working in the line that you wanted to go into your own business for, it is a little bit different. But I will say, when I was doing them, you learn a little bit at the same time because you're like, yeah, maybe I haven't thought of that. There's pieces that they force you to go into detail on. You're like, well, maybe I haven't thought about that. Is that important? Or, the details to that. So, I mean, that's the only thing I can take from it. But I kind of agree with them. It's just something that you felt you already were confident in. But when somebody else is going to give you money and then you need to go and get that all on paper, it teaches you a little bit.
Yeah. And it uses as I guess to say, a checklist for you.
Yeah.
Because to Ed's point, you lived through it or you've done it, but then you sometimes forget the significance of it until you see it on the checklist or a part of a business plan to make sure, oh yeah, did I rerun the numbers? Did my COGS in line or my percentages in line from a financial forecast perspective, just to make sure that the cash flow is there. So, I mean, I think they do add value, but I think every business owner or any entrepreneur, knows their business and, use it as may.
Going back to your, initial purpose of this series, talking to like somebody brand new, fresh out of college, or one of our kids, then I would say, yeah, go sit your ass down and do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be the thing. And like I said, I would think it's like if you have no experience in doing it and you really want to get it, because a lot of people have asked us to, either want to invest with us or they wanted, and they have no clue and no experience in this. And I was like, dude, put your money in the market. You're better off making money that way versus this. If you're looking to be a passive owner, this is not the investment that you're looking for.
Yeah.
Because it does require a lot of hard work and someone that's going to be,
Yeah, nothing really is passive, or anything that's good isn't really passive, I think. Or you're probably doing something a little shady. I don't know.
Well, I mean, again, to your point, the business plans they are important, but again, it depends on the situation.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion, I mean, I recall going back to our first. It's kind of like, architects are also important when you're doing a build out, so you get the master plan, right?
Like a blueprint.
It's a blueprint. You get the architect plan so the GC knows how to explain it to the electricians, the plumbers, and the carpenters and everything.
It's like building a ship.
Yeah. It's like building a house, like building anything.
But we also did that on our own too before.
I know. And
I still have craft paper pad from building of Kempsville.
So yeah, our version
awesome.
of architectural plans were my first one was a cocktail napkin with,
The
and
classic
me and my old partner drawing out the bar layout
Yeah.
and then doing it live on site and then making the change orders.
And
Can't
did
get
it
away
work?
with it now.
Yeah, now
Oh,
you
okay.
can't do that. I
Oh,
mean, now
okay.
it's like
There's regulations.
yeah, a lot of stuff that you had to do with code, but 30 years ago that was our norm.
So I guess you wouldn't consider yourself as a good planner, or would you still consider yourself a good planner even though you don't plan?
I think we plan a lot.
Yeah,
to be honest with you. So I do feel like I could always be a better planner. When you're dealing with so many different people, like I can plan myself all day long. I can plan out my week. I can plan out all my tasks. I can do that. But when you're in our shoes, I mean, when you got to lay out a plan
You gotta do the
and
plan.
have other people involved in it and kind of plan for them, it gets a little tricky.
I see.
That's where, I mean, we're starting to try to use technology a lot more with that stuff. I mean, because before it would just be me barking out stuff to somebody, and then when I remember check my to-do list and follow up on them, I mean, that's not the most efficient.
Yeah.
And I think, we found some tools, just that are probably, people look at us like we're idiots if we didn't know how to use them already or not using the high-end ones, but we find the most basic ones that we can understand and make our teams use them.
Yeah.
I mean, we're from I got my first cell phone when him and I first started working together, so you got to realize we're a little older than some of the technology. We're not ancient, but shit.
That is crazy. That puts it in perspective because, I can't imagine a world without a phone. Or
And this
I guess
was not these phones. This was to make phone calls.
Yeah.
yeah, and it's crazy. Also, I was watching a clip of some Twitter or X, and it was like we live in an interesting time where we don't know what's going to be really relevant in the next 20 years, just because of what stage of technology we're at. Like, I guess with the traditional jobs, like I'm seeing with my peers, even though like they got like the big coding or CS
gone.
degree, and it's
It's
just
gone in a year.
yeah, it's like it's scary to see like the
Yeah.
creation overcoming the creator, like that kind of Frankenstein story.
Yeah.
So I don't know how to plan around that, but you can't really plan that,
For us, I mean, I think we've come to a conclusion that we're always going to be in need of some sort. How we
People
provide
need
those
food,
services, that's going to be different.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on that, Dad? Did you?
He's better at it than me. I'll give you that because he likes to dig into this stuff. I will just ride this stuff out and keep trying to do it the way we're doing it.
And run the operation.
And until we go get our eyes opened in front of somebody, like we got to go to these trade shows and learn these other things.
Yeah.
I mean,
Run the model. Yeah.
I mean, because it's getting difficult. It's getting, every penny matters more than ever, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's squeezing. The margins are tough already as is, and being in the restaurant business. But
Sorry, my bad.
but technology will impact our industry. I've looked at a couple. Looked at like there's vending machines out there that can cook pizza and a burger. It's kind of like the Jetsons. You push a button,
The robo.
and 3 minutes later it comes
Robo
out.
pizza.
So now how is that going to impact us? It will in some way, shape, or form. So the only thing I can say is that stay relevant, continue to learn about it, going to these trade shows or conferences to see what's out there, what the latest and greatest technology, and see how you can incorporate that into your business process.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, what we sell, is it really a burger or is it really a pizza or is it really a beer? I've always believed that in this business, we're selling the service, we're selling the experience. And that's one of the things that I don't think can ever be replaced by technology is the human interaction that our team has been able to relate with customers that come in through those doors. So
So I'm a little bit different than that. I believe what he said 100%. But we're also relying on, pickup delivery business where I think you can order online, never speak to a person. You could have it left at your front door, never see a person. You don't need to tip them in person. So I also always feel that it goes back to what we are selling as well. And I think that's a pretty good balance, because if he's believes in that brand experience so much, but if that product's crap, because we're not a discount place. I promise you that. We can't do that. So we gotta try to stay, as high level and quality ingredients as we can. So
Yeah, it's a hard balance.
it is.
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to have both. I mean, the quality of the food and service, because eventually we will have drones delivering our product. I mean, it's already happening in China. You just push a button and drones will deliver right to you. So I mean, again, it's the thirst for learning and learning as much as you can and how technology and AI is going to impact your industry and work with it, but don't ignore it. You got to embrace it.
Yeah, can't fight it.
No, it's coming.
It's like the big waves. Like as a surfer,
Yeah.
I mean, you see all the surfers. They tell you like, you don't fight the current.
You go with it.
Yeah,
Or go sideways or whatever.
yeah. You got to stay afloat somehow, and like, oh gosh, yeah. I mean, this is a lot to think about. I mean, how scared do you think you feel inside to know that that's the future?
I think that's the difference between you and us two.
Yeah,
I don't know if I spend that much time dwelling on it
yeah.
instead of just moving with it. What's going to come is going to come, like you said, but I guess maybe if I was in somebody else's shoes, I mean, being like, I'm convinced that our business model is going to be around. Like I said, how we provide that service and how we provide those products, that's going to change. And just try to stay on. I think my way of looking at it is just trying to stay on top of our numbers and our systems that have kept us in business so long.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna figure that out as I go, because there's gonna be a point where something might not work anymore that we're always done because it's not gonna be cost effective, and we're gonna have to pivot to somewhere else.
Yeah.
So I getting ahead of it, yeah, that's probably a great idea. I should, but I kind of just go on with it.
Because I mean, yeah, fear is a big motivator. I mean, my dad always says this to me, and that survival of the fittest mindset. It's kind of really playing a big role now, and more than ever. I mean, it's always there, but
Yeah.
you know,
What do you think on that? Do you sit there and dwell on it?
Nah, I don't dwell on it. I don't let it overwhelm me or just eat at me like the world's gonna end or whatever. Just I live.
just live.
Just live and again, you just stay in tune to what's going on with it and just stay with it, but don't put your head in the sand.
You'll find yourself when you hit a point where you can maybe call it yourself that you're not keeping up.
Yeah.
And you're gonna say, "Oh shit, let me ring things back in." Like maybe I got comfortable, like we've said 1,000 times. Maybe I got comfortable. I got to spend a lot more time focusing on certain areas, and you'll jump right back up. I mean, that's I think how like I said, the business is a roller coaster ride. You're gonna go this. I mean,
Yeah.
and then sometimes you'll get caught up there.
It's a big mental game, and I think just if someone out like a new person were to come in, or you're training a new manager and trying to prepare them for that uncomfortability, like is a hard thing to do, I guess, with the people aspect too behind managing the
Yeah,
brand.
I mean, I think because we believe our systems and our procedures are something we need them to follow, but having an outside set of eyes sometimes too, because we're not the end all be all. That's for sure. We're not right on everything we do. We're just doing it because we believe that's where it should be right now.
Yeah.
And so sometimes when you're getting somebody trained up in that, they might see things differently and not understand why you want to do it that way until finally they do it, and then maybe they see something better. That's always helpful, but
Yeah.
it is a daunting task. I mean, you saw yesterday just all the eyes. I mean, the different directions we went from, defensive side of the business to transition to offensive side of the business. How you control this, and then how you be positive on this. It's a lot.
Yeah. I mean, I want to really dig into what happened yesterday at our manager meeting. I mean, what were your takeaways from the meeting yesterday that we had? That you want to take the crack at that one, Dad? Because it was a different meeting. I'd say that. I mean, but comparing a meeting from last year around this time to this year, I mean, there's been a lot of growth, and you kind of predicted that growth a little bit.
But what mindset were you in yesterday? Because you were in.
I was in a different mindset.
Yeah, you were in. Let's film this. Let's get this documented. So I think that's gonna be tough for him to answer because I saw him just making sure he was getting all the angles and everybody was talking, nobody was interrupting. I saw that.
Yeah,
I just treated it as a normal day.
Yeah.
But go ahead and talk on that if you want.
I don't know when you say what my takeaway was. I mean, I was more concerned about this journey that we're on.
Yeah.
I was more concerned about the layout, more concerned about certain things in the background because we're trying to document some of our meetings. And after reviewing it, I was like, oh, this is a complete failure.
Was it?
Well, the angles
from a recording perspective.
No, I mean, I'm curious. That's a good takeaway because we had this discussion
because I was
about spending marketing money, and I said, you know what, you should instead of just investing into something else right now, because you want to keep growing, grow this side.
So the content was good. I didn't capture it.
The way you
I
wanted
felt like
it.
I failed because it's like this is not good enough to put out there because one, I don't know if there was any entertainment value in it except for the guys that are in it, right? The folks that are in it. And is anyone going to learn from it? No, because the audio is terrible. Mm-hmm. The audio, when he wasn't mic'd up and he was on the other side of the room, it's like you hear this little voice and then the camera's not even on him.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, how do I fix this? This is why I was talking to you about getting the 4-way mics and stuff like that. So, I think there's a lot of room for us to improve. So my mindset was more about production.
Yep.
Not about the content that we were going there. That was his department because he runs that. And I see value in that. So I was more concerned about getting that content in a way that we can repurpose it and put it out there on these social media platforms. So someone can either get a learning point out of it or actually entertain that, wow, this is the kind of crap that these guys go with on a weekly basis, right?
Yep. That's
but I had 2 hours worth of content that I recorded, and I'll see what this app cut it up and see if there's anything good out of it. But I don't know.
Looking back at it now, it's probably terrible content.
Yeah,
it was just so. It was much like spoon fed to them yesterday. Maybe next week would be good when they, we laid out what you're supposed to do. They're on their own right now, gathering stuff. Maybe they'll come back excited with it. That might be a little bit better. Because I did, looking back, I feel like, yes, it was one of those meetings where I just had to, I don't know if it's good or bad, I have to control it to keep it on track. And, I had to, it was good because we looked at our financials the day before, and I would say 95% had done a nice turnabout from where we were after we focused on this for, 2 months doing those style meetings.
Yeah.
But the good part about it was we were able to get into that a little bit and then also try to, which we always consider the more fun side. Mm-hmm. How do you want to market yourselves? What kind of content are we using? But it was also another spoon-fed moment because I couldn't let them all just go on a rambling path on their own. It had to stay structured for, the marketing team to be able to get what they needed. So maybe next week when they all come back and be creative all week long, that could be some good content. We do have to find a way to get that.
Yeah,
because we want to see, what content they brought. It could be, very entertaining.
I mean, I actually thought that was one of the most entertaining meetings in a while. I mean, granted, that was the first one in a while for me, but the way it was structured was, at least, I mean, now you're getting an understanding of what goes through, I guess, the production behind the camera, and that kind of made me feel better about myself, Because that's kind of what the journey I went through this past year was, like getting frustrated with my vision not being met. Like the vision I had in my head would always not be where my skills were at.
Yeah, because we weren't bought in.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then, so I think it was you taking the first year to kind of, I guess, learn it yourself, right? And under the ins and outs of it, because it's one of those things that you have to kind of sometimes go through the process and get the experience. And then now I think you've got our buy-in. And, I think there's certain approaches that we can do better to grab the content that we need. So, we'll see. I got some ideas in my head that, I'll run by you this week and see how we can implement it. But, the one takeaway there was getting everyone to have one conversation. Because historically, everyone is very opinionated in these meetings, and they have a tendency to interrupt each other, speak over each other, and getting them to behave because now they see the camera's rolling. We've gotten a lot better with that.
Yeah,
and
I did notice that.
Yeah, they weren't even aware that we were going to record. It was just something I just threw out there, and so hopefully they'll get comfortable with us doing this. That things will come natural to them again. But I think there's certain things that we can do to kind of help them with this transition.
Yeah, I think part of that transition, this is here intentionally, because those when those kid photographers would get those kids to stop crying and actually smile for the camera for the parents, they had like some stuffed animal next to the camera. So that's what I hope to do to make people more comfortable. This is Bucky the Dragon. He has the same colors as Chicho's, ironically, which is funny. I didn't think about that, but yeah, I had a thought I wanted to touch on more, but just a final note on that last, I guess, this segment of yesterday's meeting. I really did gain a lot of hope in, I guess, the way the meeting was run. I really finally see the light at the end of the tunnel now. Yeah. Because, I mean, throughout this last year, it was just, there's moments in time where I was like, damn, is this really going to be fruitful for me? Or is this going to be something like I can actually make?
Because our stuff is garbage? Or
no, like, I was like, I didn't think I was like capable of like capturing the story. Because, I mean, maybe I'm just a perfectionist at heart, but I just wanted to be able to capture the whole story without jeopardizing or compromising on like, oh, we got to sell ourselves or something like that. I mean, maybe not to that extreme, because I mean, you see like people on Instagram being like the salesman for their systems, and like, oh, you got to get this or your restaurant's going to fail, or like, I mean, that's not the reality. I mean, there's a little more nuance to it. Or this system will help your business come out of the whatever, come out of the hole.
Yeah, no, so, I mean,
yeah.
I think, at least for me, I think the journey is just really documenting our day to day, and what we deal with in running a restaurant or a small business. I don't have any expectation to try to sell them on it. It's just, to me, I think it's a journey that I want to have recorded, right?
Yeah, just for fun and just to live.
Just for the fun for it. Now, hopefully people get some value out of it, and maybe it'll turn into something. But I don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
I think you probably had to spend a year learning and watching everybody else out there, what they did, then start. You might have hours upon hours upon hours.
Oh, I do.
Unused crap content that you'll never use.
Yeah.
But you might find 30-second pieces of gold in there. And then
dig through the trash.
I think now that you got us bought in, and you're going to sit there probably overanalyze everything still, and you got two guys that will just jump and try to solve a problem without thinking about it 1 second. So I think it's a good combination now.
Yeah, it's a fun puzzle.
We will not think. We will not give it too much thought until we're in the moment. We got to fix it, just like you tried to fix this damn microphone. There's some shit laying around here.
Yeah, got to get creative, I guess. Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't have to be perfect. It's going to just have to be functional.
Yeah, the creative.
And yesterday's meeting was, bridging the marketing team with the operational side. Mm-hmm. And working with the marketing agency for the past year, getting them to understand our brand, getting them to understand our dynamics and how we work as a team. Because we're a very difficult client, from outside looking in, because we're 9 locations that has every location is unique in its own sense, right? And they have different demographics to market to. So, it was a challenge for the marketing agency to create the strategy for us, but they finally were able to get to a point, from us being a little bit more clear on the direction where we wanted to go, that they had to build everything on the back end. And yesterday's meeting was getting everybody at their location involved to give us the content that would match their location and tied to the technology and the landing pages that they built for us.
Yeah.
So, I mean, now that you asked me what was my takeaway, that was the overall takeaway from a high level perspective, in addition to the production stuff that I was looking to try to capture.
Yeah.
I'm curious if you'll be able to see how quick you have to jump back and forth and compartmentalize if you're in this business from operations to marketing to problem solving. It's like, because I was sitting there, I did all these number things, and then I'm trying to help the marketing team drive through there when I'm still looking at numbers and leading those guys into saying, okay, what do we do well? What's going on in your city? You got to be able to jump all over the place very fast.
Yeah. I mean, that's a great characteristic that, Ed has, because think about the left brain and the right brain and trying to grab certain parts that each brain has, how it thinks, right?
Yeah.
And so when you're constantly going from,
It's
Oscillating.
exhausting.
Yeah.
though, I
offense to
promise you.
defense and doing,
Football.
it's a very tough skill set to maintain.
Most of the
right?
people in that room have been there for a good amount of time now, so I give them all credit. So they're obviously able to do it to an extent.
Yeah.
So, it's not easy.
And that's where sometimes it becomes a distraction, because when we want to be creative, we just want to talk about, okay, let's not have any naysayers. Let's all just be creative and let's let our creative minds go. Let's think about promotions that we want to do for the next calendar year. And so you don't want to get the momentum being lost when someone throws a
wrench.
in there, like, hey, well,
squirrel.
what's it going to cost us? Well, have you thought about the logistics, or what do you got to do to plan this out? And I was like, that's not the time and
that's
place for
funny.
that type of input for that meeting.
Yeah.
That's later. Let's get all the ideas. Let's get it all out. And then we just
Document,
kind of filter it
capture.
in. And then we break it down and see, from an operational logistics and financial aspect that, how we can make this promotion work.
Yeah, that's funny. I mean, you could talk if you need.
What's that?
I was about to say
No,
that.
I'm good.
That's funny. You kind of mentioned in your vocabulary there, you have to have like a good game plan, and
Yeah.
it kind of ties to this topic of like, oh, are you a good planner? And then, I mean, you do have a overall plan. It's just that you're just living out the plan.
Yeah. And it's something he's yelled at me about all the time. I just keep everything in my head.
Yeah.
And it's not the most conducive to get everybody else prepared or on the same page, because I'll just sit there and know what I want, and I'll just keep trying to push it. But everybody else is like, what the hell is going on here?
Yeah. Because I mean, like I talked to my dad, and we actually got into a heated dialogue. I guess. I mean, we have a lot of fun debates. It's all good fun, and we recognize it's just banter. But everyone has like their own conversation in their head, and then you have your own conversation in your head, and then that creates an infinite amount of conversations if there's like infinite amount of people in the room. So it's like the biggest puzzle is trying to get it to one conversation, one plan. And that's, again, the biggest takeaway I got, and my dad, and I'm sure you got from yesterday's meeting. And that's why I think the energy kind of shifted.
Sometimes I find myself talking to the people like, hey, I know you're talking words right now, but I don't know what was going on in your head before you started speaking them. You have to back up and slow down and tell me everything you were thinking before we got here, because I'm not following you.
Yeah.
Yeah, communication is key. And being able to listen, to hear what someone else is saying. I mean, ultimately listen, because sometimes what they're saying, you interpret it differently.
Yeah.
Right?
You perceive it differently.
And so it's one of those things that, that's like attorneys. Attorneys ask same question three times, but in a different way, just to make sure that they understand the intent that the other person is trying to tell them, or the purpose, or
what's
or the
going
point,
on
right?
in their brain.
And so, because when you're on a, even though people say this, might say the same things, but they are interpreting it completely different from what you thought that you're trying to get.
And our life experience and your life experience are different. So what you're saying to me is something that's happened in my life. That's not what you mean. You know?
That's funny.
So it's tough.
Yeah. I mean, we say we're on the same page, but it might be a different book. That's the funny part.
That's why we've tried to get to the point where instead of just talking about what we need to do, we're saying, okay, let's show what we're doing a few times, then have them show us what they think we're trying to have them do a few times. You start learning a lot at that point.
Yeah. Because there's certain things when we say, hey, have you, taking it from a practical perspective, when we ask them certain things about like inventory, and do they understand the dollar value of inventory and how they came up with it, with the unit measures and so forth. And, when they say, yeah, I understand, it's like, do you really understand? So, to Ed's point, we make them go through a practical exercise, and that how he's working with them now and looking at the numbers, so they understand completely, what we intend for them to understand, right? At least from coming from our eyes.
Yeah.
And that's just something you have to do because, sometimes we made the assumptions that that we thought they understood what we were trying to get them.
Yeah. You got to have the eyes of compassion to really understand them. But sometimes that compassion is hard to balance,
It takes a lot of patience, I think, would be the more appropriate word.
Yeah. Yeah.
In working with them.
To be
I'm
understanding.
sure there's some clips of me losing my patience yesterday.
It's hard. I mean, you had 9 different locations to go through.
Yeah.
And like, if it's like, there's like a redundancy, you're like, were you listening to the last one or were you listening to the last one?
Oh, yeah, there was plenty of it. But the problem is that the production value of it was crap because he was behind the door with the sunlight and, it's a shadow. And then he doesn't have a mic over there. So it just did not turn out well.
Well, on the camera, actually the shotgun mic, I think, captured Ed's
Okay,
voice
well,
pretty
maybe
well.
your camera did, but my camera didn't.
Yeah, so we'll review that. I'm about to upload it today after
Put a
this.
little tape box on the floor where I'm not allowed to leave, I guess.
Yeah.
From now on.
Sound design is a hard thing to kind of master. You got to sound check all the whole room because you're moving all over the place too. So
Yeah, I
it's
couldn't
hard.
stand still that whole time. You guys
Yeah.
were really struggling for that.
Yeah, it's like chasing down a dog, man. It's hard. But I'm glad you're getting a better understanding of that at least, and seeing the value in that.
2 producers I got here.
Yeah.
I don't know. But, I mean, this goes back. Are we still on the original question, business plan?
Yeah. What's the plan? I mean, now after that meeting, I mean, you don't have to have like a detailed plan, but like I think it's good to have aims. I think that's a better way to put it instead of a plan that's like detailed to-do list, because I'm not a fan of to-do lists because that's just kind of like an employee mindset of you
I
need
create to-do lists all day.
Yeah. Or like the
for myself?
to-do lists are important for operations, but like
That's however you want to call it.
Yeah.
Aim
Mine's
list,
just
to-do list.
My to-do list, one item will have 36 steps on
oh
it.
yeah,
So-
that's not a
That's a
normal
plan.
that's not a normal to-do
Yeah.
list. That's more of a comprehensive plan.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Like
mean, you gave us a plan. You gave us at least an outline, if you're talking about a business plan for this social media journey. I mean, you gave us an outline of subject matter that we should kind of, I guess, discuss for the next, the next year and see where it goes. I mean, I'm sure it's going to improve as we go because we're learning as we're going through this process. But I mean, right now, that's the plan.
Yeah.
I mean,
what's like a good, like, say I'm like an 18-year-old kid, like naive, thinking he could start a business. Like, what are the good components of a plan for a business when you're starting out? That's a deep
Overall
one.
goal,
Yeah.
and then steps how to get to those goals. I mean, you got to have short-term wins to get to that overall. I mean, you got to break down that goal to the simplest form, in my opinion. That's why I think I said in my to-do list, one item will have 36 steps because I can't get there without doing all the other ones. So be as broad as you can, maybe for 3 goals, and then dig down into those 3. Those are mine.
yeah.
Easy takeaways. I mean,
Break it down to its smallest components almost.
yeah. I mean, if you want to talk about for this, the plan for this, like he was bringing up, my plan for this is I'm going to try to be a character for you, and that's about it, and give you some input on this because I think I'm living this life day to day still, and I'm not really. I'm reflecting on it when I come here.
Yeah.
So you guys are digging in. I'm giving you as much content as I can give, and maybe some suggestions. But that's my plan for this.
Yeah, I like
My
that
plan
plan.
is taking it back to the operations side, taking it back to our. I'm really. I mean, he's asking me like, what's the goal for this year? I said my goal is to decrease expenses as much as possible in our locations, increase the profitability, and then kind of move from that step and never let us stray again. That is my goal for this year. There's probably 100 steps in that.
Yeah. At minimum.
Yeah.
Yeah, so and that's the challenge he gave me because I'm trying to grow revenue. So the challenge was instead of growing,
More brick and mortar.
adding more brick and mortar, and which costs it's a little bit more capital. Requires a lot more capital to do that. How do we grow within our existing infrastructure? So that's the challenge.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Here
but
we are.
yeah,
Yeah,
here we
here we
are.
are.
So this, you know, whether or not, you know, I think that we're growing personally on this and see how where it goes. You know, but to your question on, you know, what would you tell an 18-year-old about a business? It's kind of like I've used it's basically the same thing that Ed was saying, but I would describe it more like the Merlin exercise. So we had done this thing where what do you want to be in 5 years? And you ask your questions about what are you doing, right? And then same questions you ask yourself, what do you want to be in 3 years? And there were questions like, you know, what kind of house are you going to be living in, or what kind of car you want to be driving in, all the stuff that kind of points at materialistic things, but it's like your goals or like how much money do you want to make or whatever. And then it like broke it down all the way down from, you know, 3 years, 1 year, 1 month, 1 week, 1 day.
Mm-hmm.
And then whatever those goals were, that's where you would be spending your time.
Mm-hmm.
And if I wasn't doing anything that was going to get me to that goal here, then I wasn't going to do it. And that's how you kind of need to look at it from a business perspective, right?
Yeah.
Because it creates discipline too. It's
Yeah.
like we've said that word before. Because you're going to be undisciplined some days. You're going to get nothing done towards your goal. And then you're going to find yourself cramming. Everybody's been in, you know, well, we've been in college, you've been in high school, you take tests, you didn't plan all semester. And then here you are, you got a term paper due and you got a final.
Yeah.
And you're just doing it the night before. And that, I mean, because you have to get it done, right?
Yeah.
It comes in business sometimes too.
Yeah.
Where it comes down to the minute.
You
almost.
could have been a lot more disciplined throughout the semester, but here you are.
Yeah. I mean, it's like executing on any goals or aims that you, like you just said, whatever it is. I mean, and that's how you stay focused on it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like the plan you gave here. I mean, you gave us a plan, so now I know if I'm spending an hour with you doing these podcasts, and okay, that's a notch I can knock off because it's going to,
Bring us to where we want to
yeah.
go.
And it's like going to the gym. I mean, the guy goes in every
I was about
day.
to say, I'd take it back to the old adage of sports again.
Yeah,
We always
yeah.
do. Kyler's got track coming up, and so
Oh, nice.
you know we got all these plans to get him a certain spot, and I'm helping him do it. So like I'm like, okay, well shit, this left knee has been bothering me a while. I probably should get this checked out and figure out what's going to limit me from helping him get there. You know, I mean, granted, he's going to outrun me by far, but
Is he faster though than you?
we haven't raced in a little while. But you know, we go to the gym, we do all these steps. It's a building block. It's like we were in all of December lifting a certain way. January's here, it's got to be a different way now. So it's just, so if you got any former athletes going into entrepreneurship, it's the same thing. You got to lay out your preseason workouts, your in-season workout, you know, postseason, all that stuff. I mean, it's the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Working in seasons.
Yeah.
Oh, this is a good segue. Already at 47 minutes, which is crazy. We didn't even need to take a break. But we're going to the segment of weekly motivations and sources of inspiration. But I wanted to start us off with this question in this segment of, like, how important are dreams? Like, I mean, my dad is notoriously known to be a dream killer. I'm sure that you're just kind of the same, Ed, where you give every dream killer as in, like, are you like, you see like this hot shot kid, like thinking he's going to make it because he has this great idea. I mean, I know you give me a face, but you love being that person to tell them, all right, it's good to have that dream, but what are you going to do about
I
it?
don't think that's a dream killer. I think that's a realist.
Yeah.
Dreams are awesome.
Yeah.
You know, everybody, even if it's from down to, I want to drive, like he said, I want to drive that car, I want to live this house. Those are dreams, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got to get there. So
Yeah.
I think maybe we're too blunt. Yeah. Maybe you have a dream and we say, great. Like, I don't give a fuck about what that dream is. Tell me how you're getting to this dream. That's the nuts and bolts. And I think it's, if he does that, I don't think it's out of any spite, hate, anything like that. It's more about, I want you to get to that dream. And people don't see it that way. They just want to tell you, oh man, that's great. That's awesome. You'll have it. And then walk away.
That
That's
blind
not
optimism.
reality.
Yeah.
You know, that's like, I just keep forgetting I watched this video, and I'm not going to say what the preface of it was, but it was some girl with a coach trying to do a backflip, and all of her friends, oh, you had that. You didn't even need the coach. So she tried it when the coach walked away and landed square on her head and messed herself up. That's what a lot of people want.
Yeah,
they
yeah.
want to just hear that they can do it.
Yeah.
That coach is like, no. Tell me how you're going to get here because I'm not letting you do it on your own. So
And like,
I don't think it's a dream killer. I stuck up for you there a little.
I guess that's a prime example of
Generations, probably.
Maybe.
the breakdown in communication.
Oh yeah.
So, I mean, what I was trying to get at, it was your interpretation completely wrong if you're saying I'm a dream killer or dream crusher. Because there's reality kind of sits in. I mean, at the end of the day, dream all you want. I mean, I would do that. But, actually do something about it. That's what I don't have. I just, when people talk about this dream and stuff, and then I don't see them focusing on any part of that step to get to that goal. That's where I'm like, that's where I crush people's dreams. Like you're not made for it, right?
Yeah.
I'm not talking about you like
Oh, no,
specifically,
yeah.
but I'm
No.
talking like in general.
Yeah,
When people
yeah,
say, "Hey, I want to do this," I'm like, "Okay, tell me what you've done." Oh, I've thought about it for the last 5 years. I was like, "Okay, well, if you haven't done anything, then your action kind of really dictates on whether or not it's an actual achievable goal or dream."
Yeah,
that
well,
you-
Is it
no,
actually
that's
a
it
dream?
right there. Is it a dream or is it a goal?
Yeah,
Yeah.
That you said it.
yeah.
Dreams, yeah, there's dreams out there all day. Make it a goal.
Yeah.
And break it down.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know. I mean, I didn't have a dream of having a restaurant or being, it wasn't a dream. I don't know. I think it was.
Means to an end.
So cynical.
Yeah, but now I have dreams like I got the staffing company in the Philippines. Did I ever dream that I was going to ever do that? No. And is it a flourishing company? No. I mean, because I haven't really put any time into it. Is it doing okay? Yeah, it's doing okay. But again, it's one of those things that if I dreamed and that's what I was going to focus on, and it'd be a priority, then I would make time for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you don't see me talking to anyone that I have this, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
it's a little, I
You're
don't
not
know.
showboating it. Yeah. I guess.
Yeah.
But it's not even a dream.
Yeah, it's
though.
not
like
even a dream.
tell me what the dreams were.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of dreamers, I think, in my generation. I mean, there's always dreamers in each generation, but it takes a certain kind of someone to accomplish big dreams.
Yeah.
Like the ones where, I'm going to be a millionaire by a certain age, or I'm going to be like living in a house, or like it could be simple as that, or trying to make an impact in some kind of degree or manner. And I mean, I'm a big dreamer myself, so, and my dad always tells me I'm a little bit naive to think that I could, help certain people that maybe, not doing the best.
Gotcha.
And but I honestly believe, I mean, that I can create that good and be a lighthouse, and accomplish, I guess, my dream per se. But it is
How do
really
you know?
my mission.
How do you know that you've accomplished that dream?
No, I mean that's the crazy part is that there's really no metric to it. There's nothing you could really measure. But I think in recent times, a lot of people have been reaching out just from the work I've been doing outside of Chicho's. So that's been really fulfilling, and like fulfilling like a dream, I guess, because each day kind of feels like a dream.
Okay.
Not to get so foo-foo about it, but yeah, I guess manifesting is real. I guess I don't know.
I believe it is.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're going to the moon. There was a I mean, this might not be relevant to the podcast, but we literally had a moon launch last night. I think NASA had like a load with SpaceX to go to the moon for the first time. A year after we were open, 1969 was Apollo 11. So that puts things in perspective. The first time we went to space was in 1969, a year after Chicho's was conceived. So puts you in perspective the history and how we kind of, I guess, our place in the world.
I think dreams change though too. I mean,
Yeah.
you could have a dream at a certain age, and you get a little older, you can maybe realize that dream might have been naive, or you do something else in life, and it's just changed. Like, I mean, I'm trying to think if I've had a dream lately of what I'm trying to accomplish, and you got 2 teenage kids. I mean, you kind of put a couple. I mean, you might not put them on hold, but it's not the forefront. And like, I'm curious what you're thinking now. I mean, you had to get these kids out of the house through school. Now they're all showing back up at your door all the time, anyways.
Yeah,
That's right.
So it's like kind of like, I mean,
I mean, I don't know. I mean,
He's never really into like, you're not into like a certain cars or getting a boat or something like that. It's never been your thing. So if I had to speak for Louis, he loves spending his time out on the golf course with his friends and having a good time. So he probably dreams about certain golf trips,
Yeah.
and he makes those happen, right? I mean, so,
Yeah.
lay out, you make a plan, you make that happen. So
I don't know if there's dreams. I mean, not to say that I'm crushing your dream. I've used the airplane theory with you when you say you want to help people, and they always tell you on the airplane, put on your mask on first before you help anyone.
Yeah.
So
money.
Yeah, I can kind of, I
It's a great analogy. Yeah.
and I still tell you that because I don't know, I don't know, like you said, there is no metric to see how you are actually helping someone, but I just think that you need to make sure that you're good with it before you help somebody else.
Or yeah, if you're feeling you're not accomplishing that dream, how's it going to affect you? Because then you're going to need to make sure you're like what you're saying. You have to make sure you're in a good spot where if that dream or is not that attainable or other people don't see it the same way, it's not going to affect you, to crush you, to not want to have that any other kind of dream.
Yeah. I mean, there's, I guess I'll share this story. I mean, we only have about 5 minutes left, so we might go over. But as long as I can impact one person, I think I'd be happy. And then it's weird because I think one time during COVID, I was looking through my yearbooks, and someone had put like a sticky note in my yearbook, anonymous sticky note, and it said, sometimes the only person you're meant to save is yourself. And that gave me chills. I'm like, who the hell put this sticky note in my yearbook, you motherfucker? Or like damn, all right. They definitely were like, they knew me because it, like, to put that sticky note there, maybe it was an angel, I don't know. But I couldn't recognize the handwriting. Like, I was really trying to figure out who put that there. I don't know. Definitely wasn't mom's handwriting. But that was something I share.
That's a strong point, man.
Yeah.
You do have to start there. You're right.
Yeah. And it applies to business too. I mean, it's unfortunate, but sometimes the hard decisions have to be made to preserve.
I mean, you took it right back to business. I've had some conversations with some of our operating partners recently about that.
Mm-hmm.
Because excuses will always be made on why things have to be a certain way, and you look at them, you say, "You gonna pay your bills?"
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because no one else is going to pay your bills for you unless,
You got to make hard decisions.
Yeah. I mean, and again, it goes back to living below your means. That's why he's scaling back on growing, our companies. Because sometimes you can grow too fast and basically crash and burn. And
that's scary.
It is scary too, because, when you're talking about business and you have over 100 employees that are all relying on you to make sure that, the business is still there, I don't know. That's it's a tough pressure to have. So just got to be responsible about it,
Yeah. Well, yeah, no, I think this was a very good topic to end with. I mean, we have the built-in segments of one moment of goodness from the week, one thing you're looking forward to, one aim and dream you're working towards, which is kind of funny. I think we hit on that point a lot.
Yeah.
Already hammered that point in.
Mm-hmm.
But to remind you, one moment of goodness from the week, and then one thing you're looking forward to.
Eagles won Sunday, just so you know.
Yeah, I did see that. Looked
Like
like a good time.
But I'm not using that as another thing I'm looking forward to. I mean, I'll come back to looking forward to, but, I think we said, what I'm aspiring to do. I mean, this business plan thing and planning and all that discussion, help me redirect again back to saying what my goal for the businesses were this year. Goal for this, I'm hoping this does create another, way for us to, grow revenue out of it, get our own business, the current businesses more revenue out of it, something new. But I'm looking on making our operations, more tight. And then let me think on what I'm worried about or what to happen this week. So
yeah, the one where it closes after, yeah.
It's to me. I mean,
that's all I'm thinking over here.
I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of stuff. I'm going into the operational side and logistics of how to better this journey and add how we can make sure that we add value to whoever's watching. So that's been on my mind and what I'm looking forward to kind of help you, work through those kinks. Because it was a learning experience after watching the recordings that we did yesterday. So that's on my mind for this week. Again, I'm still excited about continuing down this road, and I'm getting more comfortable recording myself and the thoughts that are going through my head and posting it on social media. So
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I'm looking forward to, probably because before we'll meet again to do this, I'm looking forward to see what the content everybody brought from yesterday.
Oh yeah,
In the meeting. I'm hoping that they take it seriously and have some fun with it, and trying to get us some good stuff, because I think it'll create a little spark in our organization.
Yeah.
That they're feeling really more involved into that marketing side of things. And,
Yeah.
and that's true. I mean, if you go back to why we became in this business, and I think
It was fun.
It was because it was fucking fun.
Yeah.
I mean, I wanted to be behind that bar, have fun, know all the people. It was freaking fun. So hopefully to get some fun back for them.
Be this creative catalyst or explosion,
yeah, you probably need to do a follow-up tomorrow to make sure they all.
Yep.
Back to operations.
Gentle reminder here.
Awesome.
Yeah.
But I guess for me, before we do our one more close, one moment of goodness from the week. One of the creators I've been following, he's known as a value creator on YouTube, Dan Coe. He actually shouted me out or reposted one of my posts on X, and that actually got a lot of impressions.
Really?
So I've been getting a lot of DMs from strangers trying to coach me, and I don't think they realize I already have two of the best coaches in the world, so they could pound sand, I guess. But it's funny. Yeah. So they're trying to charge. I think it's so crazy. I'll share the story, but we're over time. But this kid, and maybe he watches this, maybe not. I won't say his name to spare him, but he's an 18-year-old kid in Dubai, Singaporean, and he's ghostwriting, making $10K per month, and he was trying to coach me or mentor me for $600 a month. And I'm like, oh my goodness, what is going on? That just put a fire in me. But I know, he's no smarter than some of these kids I know. I mean, he's 6 years younger than me, and I just saw a lot. I saw myself in him when I was in my Cutco days, selling knives, I guess.
He's a hustler.
Yeah, he's a hustler. So I respected it. And we had a fun conversation.
Yeah.
It was really cool connecting with people like that. So there's a lot of potential there. I think, there's talks that Elon Musk might buy a TikTok.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a game changer.
Interesting.
So that was my moment of goodness from the week. One thing I'm looking forward to, writing more on X. I think that's the future. So if you're not comfortable recording yourself, you could just type something, and that's what all I've been doing, writing 5 posts a day consistently, and I guess it's getting some traction
On X. Yeah.
Yeah, because I guess I have some crazy thoughts that are interesting. But not to plug myself too much on here, and then one aim dream I'm working towards. I guess creating a net good for the world. I mean, we're going to the moon. But yeah, I think one more close, starting with Ed.
Thought about this a little bit, and I probably don't do this enough, so it's going to be focus for the week. It's appreciation. I need to appreciate what I have, what's I've been able to do, help people do. Appreciation. I just need to appreciate what I got.
Yeah,
It's funny that you're having these kind of words that are, I guess that's what the whole intent is. What emotion you're feeling, and the hearing, what we discuss, and the discussions that you and I have had. The word that comes to mind is empathy. For me to get a better understanding of others,
Yeah,
and being able to relate to it. So empathy is my word.
that's a good one. Yeah, 2 solid words. And I think for me, it would be dream.
Nice.
Yeah.
Bring that back.
Yeah, bring it in. But yeah, the last quote, I think I was trying to say this throughout the meeting, I just forgot, but everyone has a plan until of course, they get
Till it
punched in the
hits
face.
fan.
Yeah, till shit hits the fan. But I think that's
Yeah.
a good way to end it. Or
My old wrestling coach used to say, "Everybody has a plan until you get punched in the mouth."
oh yeah, yeah. What was your wrestling coach's
Kevin
name?
Michaels.
Oh,
He was
God.
like in between when Benzel was around.
Yeah,
so.
that's right. But that
All
was a
right.
good end.
All right.
Thank you guys.
Good
All
stuff.
right.
See you
Good
guys
job,
in the
Jake.
next one.
Yep.
He's not ready.
Q&A. Some of you guys came late. So, I don't know if you guys saw my post, but I'm doing this challenge with Jake about the social media stuff. So we're gonna start recording some of our meetings and some of the stuff that we deal with day to day, running a restaurant and so forth. So we need to have one conversation. If someone has a question, you need to raise your hand and ask, but do not talk over each other. Do not interrupt each other, because historically that's been somewhat of our meeting sometimes, where everyone gets emotional, gets excited, and wants to say what they wanted to say and get it off their mind. So we need to have one conversation in this meeting today, and no cursing. No, be yourself. I don't want you to change it who you are.
No cursing. No, be yourself.
Be yourself. Ask the questions like you need to ask the questions, but I just want one conversation. All right? All right, everyone.
All right, so good morning, everyone. Appreciate you coming all in today. Next 2 weeks, we're going to be like this. We got a big project we're doing with marketing here. We need to spend some focus time with everybody all on the same page with it. So our format today is going to be a little bit different, but we're not skipping out on our regular, week-to-week stuff that we do with the numbers, budget spreadsheet, looking at our labor, food costs, liquor, beer percentages, everything. But we're going to I'm trying to make it a little more efficient on those parts. So everybody that's supposed to go this week, you're still going to go. The way I want you to do it, pull up your 2 weeks of weekly, 2 weeks of budget spreadsheet when you get up here, and then we're going to kind of streamline going through that. What I'm really looking for is to see, where we're at on all the percentages,